We don't live in theories.
No, we don't.
We live in reality.
Conspiracy theories.
You can still present them.
Fair.
Oh,
we are going to present a conspiracy theory in the next segment, and we're hopefully all going to dispel any seriousness to it. But we'll get to that in a sec.
Let's find out.
We'll do that after we evaluate Shedeur itself.
Yeah. Same thing. What do you grade him? 3 of 6, 5 sacks, I believe.
I give Shedeur a C-, D+ for that performance. I understand that the overwhelming, the consensus is that, he didn't have the offensive line. But I went back and I watched some of those plays, and I'm gonna be honest with you.
Too.
Some of those plays, for fans, I don't know what y'all expectation is for how much time a quarterback should get in the pocket. You know, I try to go 3 to 4 seconds. The ball should be out. Like
4 now, you're living large if you can get 4.
Right. 3 to 4. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. 3 to 4 seconds, the ball has to be gone. And on some of those sacks that he had, it wasn't because the offensive line just got completely beat. Like, if the O-line got beat right off the bat, like, all right, yeah, it's hard to beat that. But some of those plays, that's when the bad habits that he had, the drifting came in. Instead of taking that drop and then hitching back up in that pocket and then throwing it, you kept drifting back. And then for an offensive tackle, he's thinking, I'm going to run you around. Like, you're going to have to run the hoop. That's why they call it run the hoop. But if the quarterback keeps backing up, that's a straight shot for him. So that some of those sacks were on him. I think he just couldn't really get things going. Like, I think what happened in that situation was that I believe the competitiveness in him came out. You know, he's a true competitor. And I think what happened was he watched Dylan Gabriel go out there and light it up. Yeah. And he thought to himself, I got to do something to light it up
There's
as well.
Something to that.
Exactly.
And I think, because in other games it was, you take because the biggest thing with him is, can he get the ball out of his hands, stop holding the ball, and stop drifting. In the Carolina game, he had some plays where he broke down and had to make something happen, and he did. But for the most part, he kind of played majority on time. Some people say he was late and missed some reads. Okay, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the ball was out of his hands. Right. He wasn't really worried about the pressure. And I just think in this game, like, some of the things that you seen him do at Colorado came back. You know, I think he suffers from PTSD. You know, at Colorado, he never had an offensive line. So drifting back was his way of buying himself time to get the ball.
And you can do that in college.
Yeah, in the NFL, like, you got to, if you want to buy yourself some time, you actually got to step up in the pocket. So that's just something that he has to work on. As far as we'll say the 2-minute stuff for later, but but right now, he never got his mojo. He never got it going, and I think he just kind of pressed a little too hard, and he just showed all his flaws. Yeah. And all the stuff that he did good in Carolina just kind of washed away because of his performance. And I get it, like, I would do the same thing if I was playing corner or safety and the other dude I'm battling got a pick or something, then I'm going to go out there and try to find me a pick too. So it might make me look bad. So I get why he did it, but it was just not a really good performance by him.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, Ty, you gave him a C-, D+, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're crazy. I'm sorry. This is going to piss people off, but I went back, watched it in real time. I watched the All-22. I watched Dan Orlovsky and Dion Lee on Twitter break down some of the All-22 footage.
Yeah, that was good.
And, like, I don't know where the positive is. I don't know where you could take anything good out of that performance. Now, I want to clarify all this by saying.
Does that mean you're giving an F?
Hold on, I'll get there. It's one preseason game. It's not the end of the world. None of this is the end-all, be-all.
No, but that's all we're judging him on. And by the way, you said it kind of takes away the Carolina game. I disagree with that.
And I do too. I don't think
he still did good things in the Carolina game, and I still hold on to those good things.
I do too.
I don't wash them out of my mind.
No, I do too.
Okay.
Yeah. No, let me correct that. Yeah, no, I didn't mean it like that. Like, I mean, like, some of the good stuff he built. Like, some people.
You just didn't see it this time.
The inertia's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, for me, I was excited. Like, we just seen what he did in Carolina.
Right, I agree.
Let's see what he. And he's going up against guys that we said ain't going to probably make the roster. So I was like, oh, he should look head and shoulders above everybody else. And when he didn't.
And that's what developmental guys do, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a developmental baseball player. He'll have an 0 for 5 with 4 Ks. And the next day he might hit 3 home runs.
Exactly.
That's what we're dealing with.
I just want to clarify everything I'm about to say with it's one half of football in a preseason game with weird circumstances in a 4-person quarterback battle that he's playing with all. It's not the end of the world. Okay? It's not the end of the world.
Right.
but I give him an F. I'm sorry. I can't find. I went back and I tried, Davis. I tried really hard to find something to say, oh, maybe he was looking at this and that's why he was unable to escape the pressure.
You know why?
They went back and did 9 years of preseason tracking. 9 years.
Yeah.
There's only been one player in that span that's taken 5 sacks and 15 or fewer dropbacks, and that was Shedeur on Saturday.
Yeah.
The only player to ever take 5 sacks in that amount of time. Now you can say the offensive line sucked. Yeah, the offensive line wasn't great. I fully admit the offensive line.
I don't know that they
did not.
No, they.
Well, just let me give you the context of this because I do think this is important to the overall picture of how people are discussing this. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen Shedeur played with got cut yesterday, right?
Sure.
3 of those 5 that got cut were also in on Dylan Gabriel's 2-minute drive. So it wasn't that much of a different offensive line
I agree.
than it was before. And when you pull some context into some of the pressures Shedeur and Dylan faced, what Shedeur's knocks coming out of college, which was he holds onto the ball too long and drifts back, that came to fruition against LA. And if you pull up these comparison graphics real quick, I just want to give some context to the pressures these two faced. In the game against LA, Shedeur had an average time to throw of 5.13.
Yeah.
That is the highest.
Well, that's in
PFF
part,
tracks.
though, because of his scrambling.
Exactly, but
That's why it's that high.
That's why I'm giving context to all this.
okay.
Just compared to Dylan, who had a 2.62. 5.13 is not necessarily bad, and 2.62 isn't necessarily good. It's just what happened. On their dropbacks, Shedeur faced pressure on 9 of his 11 dropbacks, Dylan on only 4 of his 19. So a lot of different pressure was faced in terms of how many pressures. However, when you look at the quick pressures versus the extended pressures, and you get ready to take the next one, Ant, Shedeur faced quick pressure on only 44% of his dropbacks. So of the 9 pressures, 4 were quick. To your point, Tyvis, they were getting beat right off the line immediately. Well, then, okay, what's Shedeur going to do? 5 of those 9 pressures came on when Shedeur stepped back in the pocket, drifted away from the offensive line and from the pocket. And when you go back and actually look at some of the all-22 screenshots, there were some pockets for Shedeur to be able to step into. And to your overall point, Tyvis, of he was trying to make a play out of nothing because he just saw what Dylan did. I'm not in this head. I don't know what he was trying to do, Jay, but there were little opportunities for quick completions, easy gains, quick routes, hot reads, and all that to get 2-3 yards on a play and set up a 2nd and 7 and just keep the offense on track. Instead, to me, it felt like he was trying to extend plays, trying to hit a home run to counter what we just saw from Dylan, and it just didn't work. And the whole offense didn't work in the second half. It wasn't just Shedeur, but you're the quarterback. I can't say, hey, we want to see more reps from you, Shedeur, but when you get those reps, now I'm going to complain that the guys you're playing with aren't up to par. Like, it doesn't work like that. You can't have it both ways. So I was disappointed in what I saw, but I'm also incredibly excited and optimistic about his future. It's one bad preseason game. It's not the end of the world.
I agree.
Yeah, I think an F is harsh, but the reason I think it makes sense is because you said, well, if you start baseline 0, you have to earn points, right? I mean, so I like some people say, well, you baseline started a C, and then I move you up or down. Well, there's 2 different ways of looking at it. I didn't see anything positive. I'm with you.
I did.
What did you see that was positive?
I think that they put more on his plate. You seen him have more motions in there.
I know, but it was how he responded to it. I like, okay, that's on Kevin Stefanski. We gave you more, but he didn't handle it.
He did handle it because there was no pre-snap false starts or anything like that. Like before the snap, remember, a lot of people said pre-snap he struggled. Like that's identifying coverages, identifying blitzes. Carolina,
right.
Didn't he give up? No, that wasn't him.
No,
that was
he
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
But he had identifying where the blitzes come, identify what the defense is in, being able to handle motions in the plays. He executed that part. Like I don't think that's
more about it than I do.
That's a big piece.
I just don't give.
That's a big piece.
I'll defer to you on that, Tyvis. You're way smarter than I am.
Yeah,
so if that's the
too.
case, then I'll bump him up. But yeah,
what I did was I thought that it was a D, but then I factored in something that I thought about after the game that I thought was a negative, and I didn't love his reaction to not being on the field for the fight. I disagree with that decision, and we're going to get to that in a second. I just didn't love his reaction to it.
So what part?
Well, his reaction after the game was, I was surprised, but if that's the way you're going to do it, okay. I thought there was a little bit of nonverbal communicative signs that it wasn't. He wasn't happy with it, and I get that. He's a competitor. He wants to be out there.
I'd be
He
pissed too, though.
should have been out there.
He should have been.
He didn't know he was going to be out there. Now, I think Stefanski, in saying that playing him was part of the plan all along.
Who, Snoop?
Yeah, I think one of two things is going on. He's either making that up as he goes along, or why would you plan to play him?
I have no idea.
And I don't want to take all the. I don't want to.
I'll give you my theory.
We're going to
on
get into that.
when
I've
we
got a
get
theory on it too, and we're probably on the same page on that because it was what I wanted to see coming out of this preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see it because of what he did. But all that being said, why are you going to make a plan before the game to play a guy that you know is getting cut? You know he's getting cut.
I think I got a theory.
I do too. But my point is, he didn't tell the media he was going to do that.
No.
And he's been pretty transparent, which surprises me. He's been pretty transparent with how he was going to use his guys. And he clearly said that Joe was going to start 25 to 30 snaps, then Dylan Gabriel, then Shedeur Sanders. He never made mention of Snoop playing. Mm-hmm. So when he came in the game, I was shocked. He was shocked.
I think all of us was.
Yeah. And I think when you're in that situation, and this is where I don't love the media, but you knew they were going to do this. Shedeur, what was your response to being pulled? Well, he's an honest kid. He's going to tell you what he thinks.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. You know,
He
I
said
thought
he
I was going to go back in
said
there.
he
I
was
was on the
powering
bike.
up.
I was powering up.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to see what he could do in that 2-minute offense.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm just grading him from what I saw on the field, it's got to be a D. He dropped back to throw 11 times.
Yep.
And 8 of those plays, a bad thing happened. Like that can't happen in any world ever. Period. And I understand that. I read some stuff where folks were saying, well, he was out there with 4th and 5th stringers. I didn't know we had 5th stringers. I know at some positions you might have that many guys, like at wide receiver, you're going to have that many guys. But it's not like you have one starter.
But I got an issue with that when people say that.
Yeah, I do too.
My two issues with that is, so is the Rams.
That's what I.
And my second
And now
issue.
that is so are you.
My second issue with that is, Snoop was out there with that same people and
Yeah.
took it right down the
I just think
got
it's
a
an
game with a
excuse.
field
Like,
goal. So I don't like that.
You're out there with who you're out there with. You can't do anything about that. But everybody was saying, well, he's out there with 4th and 5th stringers. What do you expect? Well, when do you see an NFL head coach put a 4th string quarterback out there with 1st and 2nd teamers? It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
You were playing with guys who are rated as you were rated, number one.
Yeah.
It's the last preseason game, the last half, and you're playing against guys that are rated as you're rated. Mm-hmm. Everybody out there was a 3rd or a 4th stringer.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, a lot of them Rams got cut yesterday, too. So.
Yes, they did. And
More than half the team got cut. Yeah.
I mean, pretty much everybody
Yes.
on that flew to that game got cut. Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody that took the field for the Browns before the game knew they were playing against guys that were going to be selling insurance tomorrow.
Yeah.
Had you ever heard a dresser win in your life?
Never in my life.
Like,
I had to look him up Friday. I had to look up. And by the way, I mean, he wasn't awful. He wasn't great, but they had a chance to beat us. Yeah. They were leading late in the game. It took a last-second field goal from a second-string kicker to beat a team that said to their 1st and 2nd teamers, stay home. And we played a number of starters.
Yeah.
And we played a lot of 2s. And so that might give you a window into what kind of season we're looking at. Okay? But all of that being said, I'm just sticking on Shedeur. I'll give him a D- because I didn't, maybe you guys didn't see what I saw. I just thought there was some negative energy around him on the sidelines when he found out he wasn't going back in.
It's the competitive.
And you know what? I'm okay with that part of it.
Yeah.
But you got to hide it, man. The whole world is looking, and they're going to pick you apart.
But he wear his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah,
I know he
I'm with
does.
Tyvis on
That's
this
the
one.
problem.
And you know
I'm with
what?
Ty.
And you know what? There are those that will tell you, I can't have a quarterback that does that.
That's
Good or bad.
The last one we did, we ran him out of town, and he's
Gone.
back-to-back 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
And they love him down there.
They love him. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, an F, I thought an F a little bit harsh, but I just was looking for, I went back and I rewatched it because I thought maybe in the moment I missed some stuff. I went back and I rewatched all of his snaps, and I just thought, I was looking for something positive, and I didn't see it. He ran himself into most of those sacks. Not all of them.
He drifted into
But
them
he
for
was
sure.
drifting hard. And we were told by some that the ball pat was not a problem. That's okay. A lot of guys have done that.
It's not a problem if you.
It's a problem if it becomes a problem.
Correct.
And one of the things that has been theorized with the ball tap is you're still thinking. You're not sure. Buys
That's
you a
not
second.
true, 'cause-
no, I've had quarterbacks tell me
Well,
that.
Tom Brady was a ball patter too.
Well, he was a ball patter, but in Brady's case, he had things so quickly figured out.
and that's where we
he
try.
had time to do it.
That's where we're trying to get Shedeur to.
And that's why I cut Shedeur slack. And by the way, I
What's his grade for the overall preseason? Because we didn't get to that.
for the overall, I think I'd probably give him a C plus. You know, with this grade pulling it down more, because to me, if there's good and there's bad, I have to say this: which one is further on the spectrum? Are you closer to great or closer to horrible? And for me, he was closer to horrible in this than he was closer to great in his first. So, but again, overall, I'm not. I think I can't remember the words. The words you used was something like, you know, I'm still very excited about his future.
I am, yeah.
Here's the way I look
Genuinely
at him. He's a flyer. He's a developmental guy. And there's a chance he could develop into a quarterback for the NFL.
Yes.
I can't say I'm excited about him. I am excited about Dylan Gabriel. I think there might be something there.
Shedeur has all the intangibles to be good. He just got to put it together. I think.
What'd you think of his foot speed? I thought he looked slower in this game. I wonder too, how bad was the oblique?
That's
See,
that's a caveat that.
that's-
But you know what they say?
He
If
said-
you're on the field, you're judged as healthy.
Correct. He said after the game that it's a little tender. But
You know what? It looked it to me. There was one situation where
Tender because he got sacked 5 times.
he spun and run.
I don't
He did a spin and run to try to get out of it. And I just thought, wow, he looks a lot slower this week than he did last week. I didn't think he was fast against Philly, but I thought he had the ability to slide and move and buy an extra second. But when he tried to do that, he looked slower to me. So I don't know that he's got all the tools to be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL. We're going to find out, whether it's here or somewhere else. These things play themselves out pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, however, he's a developmental guy, so there's hope. I don't know that there's excitement, but for me, there's hope that he can figure this out. And I think the best place for him for this year is to sit back, watch, and learn. You're going to get a chance.
Well,
be ready when
He's
you
going to
do.
play this year. He's going to start games this year for the Browns.
I don't know that
He
he
is.
will, and the reason I say that, I think the Browns are sending smoke screens with the carrying 4 quarterbacks. They're trying to get a draft pick for Kenny Pickett. That's what they're trying to do.
I don't think
you
can't because he didn't play.
Yeah.
They probably could have if he would have played in the preseason.
That's what I say. I say, some say you can't keep him because he didn't play. I say, well, you can't get rid of him because he didn't play. So but I do think that they're listening to offers, and I think it's smart to hold him through week 1. Why? Every year in recent memory, there's a starting quarterback that goes out for the season in week 1.
I think they're gonna hold him longer than week 1.
They may, if there's no
He's
starting
gonna start
quarterbacks
games.
that go down,
I'm telling
then they
you.
keep him for week 2. But here's the
He's
thing.
gonna be here longer than week 2
And
too.
maybe,
He's
but
gonna be here to like week 7. I
maybe
think.
if that's the case, then Shedeur doesn't see the field.
No, I think
For Shedeur to see the field, Kenny Pickett's got to be gone, because who in their right mind right now?
he will be gone later on in the season, I believe.
Okay,
I
well
think
at that point you might get it. Look, the average number of quarterbacks that a team uses in a season is between 2 and 3. We've used 5 and 4 the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Shedeur's gonna
Now,
play.
That's why
you
I
can
know
look
he
at
gonna
that-
play.
yeah, you can look at that a bunch of different ways. You can look at that and say, well, because of that, you're less likely to do it again, because it's not just an anomaly, it's an outlier. It's not a little over the average, it's a double the average. So if you regress to the mean, which usually happens when the sample size gets larger, you're more likely to use 3 quarterbacks this year than 4 and 5. Now, I'm not saying they won't use 4 or 5, because it's the Browns and anything can happen and all bets are off. But if they keep all 4, you got to get to a 4th quarterback. He's clearly 4. There's no argument. He's QB4. I'm sorry for those that think he's 2, 3, or he's not. He's QB4. Now, if you get into a situation where you're 1 and 6, hell yeah, put him in there.
I think that. How much time we got? We got to move to the next segment.
No, you good.
Okay, I think that, and this is what it is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that I've listened enough that I think this is what it is. I believe that Shedeur Sanders won't see the field until Kevin believes Shedeur Sanders is ready. whether that's this year or next year. He's not going to touch it. And I'm going to tell you why. I think Kevin.
That's smart, by the way.
I think Kevin likes Shedeur.
I do too.
I think that he believes that he actually can be a good quarterback. However, Kevin, people forget the fact that I keep saying this. Kevin, this is his 6th year as a head coach. Mm-hmm. He's made mistakes a bunch throughout his tenure here at Cleveland with quarterbacks. He had the Baker fallout. DTR looked terrible. Like, when it came to Deshaun looked terrible. When it came to the quarterback play, like, at times it was just horrible at times. So this fan base is mad at Kevin because they're saying all those quarterbacks and look how terrible they were. So they don't trust Kevin with Shedeur.
Right.
Because of what he did previously. And that's fair. I get why y'all feel that way. However, I think Kevin is the type of guy that don't make the same mistakes twice. And what I mean by that is, if he puts either one, I keep saying, if Joe Flacco goes out there against Cincinnati and gets hurt, and we carry just 3, just say it's Joe, Dylan, and Shedeur. If Joe gets hurt, and the next week you got to start your quarterback against Baltimore. We seen that song and dance.
We did.
DTR did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it never was the same.
That was a disaster.
So I believe that's why they keep him 4 to get through that first part of that season, because he don't want to put them guys in that situation, because he watched DTR just crumble and never really get it back.
And his career is now over.
Exactly.
In all likelihood.
Literally over, yeah.
So he is going to take however long he need to take to make sure that these 2 young guys is ready. So if we see him this year, great. If we don't, that's part of it. Like, I just don't think he want to put them out there and be like, so they crumble again and be like a DTR. I think he got so much respect for them 2 guys that he's just literally going to take his time. And as fans, we mad about that because people want to see these 2 guys. But I think it's in their best interest. If Kevin say they ready, then let it be what it is.
I think the reason, and we're going to transition to this, and you might have to do a read in between, but I'll set it up with this. I think the reason we didn't see Shedeur in a 2-minute drive situation to potentially win the game was for Shedeur.
Oh, yeah.
It was to protect
do the read.
his psyche.